Hi there, Karen Greenhouse here, and another session of mini math lessons. I'm just going to overview two lessons that have to do with kind of elementary, middle school statistical plots. So we're going to be looking at data plots, histograms, and box plots. So these are two different activities, and it walks students through how to create them using Classpad.net, which is the software that I'm using here. If you would like to save the activities, these are free to use. You don't need an account, you don't need anything except the links that are provided in the video description. But if you want to save them or add to them or change some of the questions, make sure you create an account. It's free. You just click right here, and then you duplicate what the activity is once you have it open, and it'll save into your account, and then you can do whatever you want with it. So the first activity is called elementary data plots and histograms. So there is some information already here, and so they're going to be collecting data on siblings, but obviously you could change that to whatever data that you want. But the idea was to use this in a classroom, and so if students are working online now, or they want to just go around and interview their friends, they're going to basically write down the frequency. So I'm just going to make up some numbers here just to kind of show you what's going on here. So this is the number of siblings, and then how many. So maybe they have two friends that don't have any siblings, and again, I'm just kind of making up numbers here. Two, maybe there's, and then there might be 0. Maybe we have 1, and maybe we have, 2. Depends where you live, right? So here's just an example, and again, this data they can make up. So then the next thing is let's explore your data. So they're going to make a dot plot. So this is sort of how do you make a dot plot with this? So they're going to click on the value 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then how often each one of those appeared. So first I clicked A, then B, and then we're going to go, our statistical menu comes up. And there's lots of things you can do in statistics, but we're interested at the elementary, middle school level more in the graphs. So we're going to go to a dot plot. And what happens is a dot plot appears. Let's get rid of this. And so now, how can this dot plot, so they're going to look at the dot plot and they're going to compare, and what do these dots represent? Well, here's our number of siblings down here, and then how many occurred. And you can, in Classpad, actually change the axes to represent that. So you go to the 3-dot menu, and I could say siblings, and then the Y's represent how many, so our frequency. And so now when I go back, you'll see that it actually has, I spelled siblings wrong, but we're not going to go there. So there's a dot plot. They're going to ask different questions, and then it says, okay, let's look at a different type of plot of the same data. So they're going to go back and select those two columns again, and this time we're going to choose a histogram. And what happens here is now we have a different type of plot on top of this one. And one thing that we can talk about is, well, these bars, what do they represent? And so that's some of the questions that are going to be asked. And can you change the width of the bar? Well, each bar represents a sibling, right? So we don't want to have a part of a sibling. So maybe we want to represent it as a whole. So watch what happens the minute I do that. Now each bar represents one whole sibling. So there are 2 zeros, there are 2 1s, there are 3 1s, 3 2s. So that's where we're going with this. And with Classpad, it's so nice. You can actually take these plots and see how down here there are tabs, and you can simply separate them out and look at the plots separately and think about which one is a better representation. They're both very similar. So how are they similar? How are they different? Which one maybe exemplifies this information better? So there's lots of questions they're going to get asked here, and they can write their answers and they can play around with the graphs. So that's the first activity. The second one is on data that's already collected. So it's comparing the temperatures around the country. So here's my temperatures, and you'll see that it's all 50 states, and this is, I think it's in January or something like that. So they're going to, again, compare graphs. But we only have one set of data here. So instead of doing dot plots, we're going to do a histogram first. So let's go to graph again. And same thing, they're going to see the histogram and notice that some of the measures are in the negatives. And so then it's talking about, step here. Each bar represents, well, what would be a good step? So maybe a step might be not 10, but maybe, I don't know, 15 degrees. And so then our bars are smaller. So things that they can explore with the histograms. Then they're going to explore a box and whisker plot, box plot. And what we're going to see here is the same data up here. So what's the difference? What do these numbers mean? So lots of questions they're going to explore. They're going to look for their measures of central tendency. They're going to be able to do one variable statistics and compare these numbers, which plot is providing the most accurate or the best descriptive and visual of the data. So let's do our one variable statistics. And here's our statistics here. So the mean is about -40. So which one of these graphs is kind of representing that best? And I would maybe say the box plot. So there's lots of different ways that they can explore and answer questions about this. And the idea behind this is, how do the visualizations help us understand the data better? And how do you make decisions about which one's the best visualization for the data that you have? Have fun exploring, and I'll see you next time on Mini Lessons.